How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana takes on Rutgers at Simon Scott Assembly Hall and walks off 84 to 74 winners as the Hoosiers pick up another win in the Big Ten. Wasn't necessarily the prettiest game you've ever seen. The Hoosiers overcame a little bit of trouble early in the game, but they were able to uh, There we go. There's a little bit better. My gain got messed up there for a second, so we'll go ahead and get this going again. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana, 84-74 winners over Rutgers and Simon Scott Assembly Hall, as Indiana just did a shot the ball from three-point range a lot better than we've seen them for this point this year, and that was, considering some of the struggles they've had along the way, it was something that was really good to see. You also had a Rutgers team that was missing its best player, and Ace Bailey, 29 points on 16 to 29 shooting. He carried the Scarlet Knights in this one, but the bottom line is Indiana managed to do enough to win the game. Did it from three-point range, 12 to 27 shooting. It's 39% from the field overall, and the Hoosiers score the victory. 812-393-2600 is the number. We're going to be hearing from head coach Mike Woodson here in just a very short amount of time. But first, it being very late and all, I don't want to make anybody wait on the line as we try to get our callers here. I know it's a work night. I appreciate the call. So, caller, if you can give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
My name is Blaine Goodroad and from Bloomington, Indiana.
Hi, Glenn. What's your question? What you got?
How was your reaction to Anthony Leo's three at halftime?
Well, that was a heck of a shot by Anthony. He was able to fire it up. He said in the post game that he didn't really think about it. He just grabbed it, saw the clock, and threw it up there, and it went in. He was like, you know what? It was just one of those lucky shots for him. You don't get a lot of those, so you celebrate them when you do. But he focused right away on the game. But what the interesting thing was with that is the fact that Anthony practices those before every game and throws them up from half court and not quite fading away like that, but it was a really great moment, and the fact that they went in with a 7 point lead as opposed to a 4 point lead makes a difference psychologically. So it was a really really important bucket for Leo, to say the least.
He's been making those in warm up.
Yeah, no, he does it. He does it quite a bit. He's been doing it for a while now, especially since he's been here for a while, and he does pretty well with them. And that was one situation where it really came up clutch for the Hoosiers.
Miles Rice got some steals too.
Yep, he had. Let's see on the game. Miles Rice, he finishes with 21 points, lead the Hoosiers. Had a couple of steals, was plus 19 on the day, and put together a really really nice game. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but the bottom line is he came through when the Hoosiers needed him. And that's a huge positive.
It
Well,
was a really good game.
say that again.
It was a really good game.
It was. It was. Well, I appreciate the call, Glenn. Thanks a lot, and be safe going home.
You.
Thanks. 812-393-2600 is the number. If you could give us a call or feel free to weigh in on our chat. Indiana, again, 84-74 winners. Miles Rice with 21 points on 6 of 15 shooting. Uh, there's a lot to talk about with this game, though, because I will say that, Rutgers missing one of their best players, they are really struggling, and they did not exactly bathe themselves in glory in this one. And so that to me is a little bit of a concern for this ball club because this is an IU team that really uh, they scored the 10-point win, and that's great. And I don't want to take a dump on that. I'm just saying that this is also a Rutgers team that was not exactly great. Indiana at times seemed like they were trying to give the game to the Scarlet Knights, and they just wouldn't take it. So a lot to talk about here, including, again, Malik Renew goes down with a knee injury, an apparent knee injury, very, very early in the first 30 seconds of the game. And Omar Ballo, who missed the last game, was expected to be back or be limited today. He ends up coming back and really being able to make some things happen. He apparently healed really quickly for somebody who was banged up. So let's hear what Mike Woodson had to say during his post-game press conference following Indiana's win over over Rutgers.
Ravi and then Zach.
Yeah, Coach, obviously, you get Omar Ballo back tonight. He plays very well. I know he's listed as questionable on injury. What were your thoughts on how he is physically and everything and how he played tonight?
Real quick, I know that question that Jeff Rabjohns from Peegs.com asked is just how Ballo is physically and exactly what how he played. It was the fact that Indiana did not we missed turning on the microphone. Essentially, it's something that happens sometimes. So here's back to Mike Woodson.
With 17-14.
Thought he played great. He's a big part of our team winning tonight. He had 17 and 12 rebounds, a few block shots, plugged the hole up for us like he's supposed to. So I thought he played well.
Mike and then, or Zach and then Mike, sorry.
Mike, not my usual fare, I guess, but I'm just curious as somebody who spent a long time in the NBA, just what are you thinking when you're watching a guy like Ace Bailey make the shots that he made? It didn't seem like you made it easy on him defensively, changed coverages, changed defenders, and he just kind of kept finding a way.
No, he's special. He's a good player. And he's young. If he continues to work, he's could be pretty special. We kind of threw a few things at him, but he made some tough shots tonight, and that's what great players do.
Mike and then Jack.
Was Ballo coming off the bench disciplinary related, or was it injury related?
Let's just talk about it. 17 and 12. That's what I like to focus in on. He came off the bench and he got 17 and 12 for us and 2 blocks, which is fantastic.
Jack and then Seth.
Yeah, Mike, after Malik went down early, how do you feel like the team adapted to playing without him, and do you have any sort of update on his status?
Well, right now we got to evaluate him tomorrow. He couldn't come back in the game, and he's a big piece to the puzzle. He's going into this game. He was our leading scorer. So we'll evaluate him tomorrow through our medical staff and see where he is. And if he can't play, it's next man up. We just got to continue to go whoever's in uniform.
Seth and then Jim.
Mike, I know you said after the game against Winthrop that, shooting's a funny thing, and you kind of just had to hope that the shots would start falling from the outside. To make 12 tonight after the way you played on Sunday, just what led to that turnaround?
Guys stepped up. They made them, which was kind of nice to see. It's probably the most threes we've made this season so far, and I just hope it continue to be a carryover because I thought in the Winthrop game we got some good looks. We just didn't make them, and tonight guys stepped up and they knocked them down, which we're going to need it moving forward.
Jim and then Mike.
Mike, you had 36 points from behind the three-point line, 34 points on second chance opportunities off of 18 offensive rebounds. What led to that outburst tonight?
Well, I think the fact that they played a lot of zones, it's kind of hard to block out in zone situations, and we were able to, sneak guys in and get putbacks or kick it back out for threes. That's just how it goes when you play zone. You gamble because you do have to rebound out of the zone in order to get down the floor and play offense, and we were able to capitalize on it a little bit.
Mike.
Coach, after making just 1 3 in the last game, did you handle that any way special with them, or is that just
No,
unspoken?
like I told you guys, as a coach, every time they shoot it, I think it's going in, especially if you got the right guys shooting it. And we did in our last game. You had Gallo shooting some, and Goody and Mack. They just didn't knock them down. And tonight, they had some of those same looks, and they put it in the hole, which is kind of nice to see.
Zion?
Mike, what went into the decision to have Anthony Leal guard Ace Bailey a decent amount, and was that something you expected to happen in your preparation for this game?
No, Anthony's one of our, best defenders, and when I got to go to someone off the bench to guard a key guy, because I thought in that one stretch right before the half, I think he only scored one point against Anthony. He had done all his damage early, and but again, he's a hell of a player, man. He did a lot of good things for his ball club tonight.
Mike, you built this team to have depth. You lose Malik early, but your other players came through. Is this maybe the best game of the season in terms of showing what this team can be?
I think so, but we got a long way to go. I got to help our bench more somehow. I got to get them comfortable having fun and flying around and doing things on both ends of the floor that we're supposed to do, and we're not there yet.
Thanks, Coach.
1-2-393-2600 is the number as the Hoosiers go through some of the individual performances in this one. Miles Rice, 21 points, 6 of 15 shooting, 1 of 4 from three-point range, made all 8 of his free throw attempts, added 5 rebounds, 3 assists versus just 1 turnover, played 36 minutes. Renew got 2 points right off the tip and then came down and again, Luke Goody kind of fell down into Renew's knee and he stayed down. He did end up standing up and walking off under his own power, but then he went to the locker room and he was there for some time. Didn't come out until after halftime, and he had ice on that knee. So we'll see how he is and how he performs. But that did open the door for Omar Ballo to come out onto the floor, and he turns in 32 minutes. Is plus 21 on the day, 17 points on 7 of 13 shooting. Was 3 of 9 from the free throw line, but he did have 12 rebounds and 2 assists, 3 block shots. Omar played well, and again, for a guy that was listed as questionable on the sheet, it was pretty interesting to see him get healed up real quick and head out on the floor. Mackenzie Mbako, 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting, 3 of 7 from three-point range. He added 7 rebounds and an assist in 29 minutes and a team-leading plus 27 on the night, which was huge for the Hoosiers in this one. Trey Galloway, 11 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 3 of 6 from three-point range, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He did foul out in 29 minutes after being just plus 6. And then finally, Luke Goody, 9 points on 3 of 5 shooting. All 3 of those shots came from three-point range. He added 5 rebounds and an assist in 24 minutes. Off the bench, again, you had Ballo, 17 points. Caden Carlisle, 3 points on 1 of 7 shooting. He did not have a good night. Bryson Tucker played just 10 minutes, was minus 15, missed all 4 of his shots. And Anthony Leal, 5 points, including that wild 3 at the buzzer. That was, a heck of an effort from him, but a lucky one, plain and simple. But 84-74 is the final score on this one. 812-393-2600 is the number. But joining us now is Peegs.com's Trevor Andershock. And Trevor, just your thoughts on this Hoosier team and just the job that they did in this one in a game against a Rutgers team that honestly just isn't any damn good.
Yeah. Big picture, this is not a good team, but I thought IU really needed to get something going, into this stretch of mid-January, mid-February. That's going to be a huge stretch for IU. So I thought tonight was a decent first step. They shot better from 3, took care of the ball, hit the offensive glass really hard. So they had 18 offensive rebounds, 34 second chance points. I think those are the keys to them going forward. It's not going to be a great offensive team, so you need to maximize the possessions, get extra shots on the glass, and go from there. So I thought that was the good takeaway. The bad, obviously, Rutgers doesn't have their star player, one of the stars. Still a very close game down the stretch. What was it, 6 points with a couple minutes to go. So you can't put them away. You're up 18. Don't close the door on them. So obviously there's still that give and pull, but overall, I thought it was a decent half step at least forward, something to build on a little bit going forward here.
Let's talk about the fact that both teams played most of the game acting as if they were down by 10 with 3 to go. They just were really, really frantic. A lot of bad shot selection from both teams in this one. And that, to me, Trevor, is a bigger concern because this was a team that, again, Indiana was up by 18 and allowed a bad Rutgers team to get back into this thing. And mostly because of self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah. You start turning the ball over, start taking bad shots, you let Rutgers back into it. But overall, I think that's the common theme. IU as a whole does not know where their shots should come from and when they should take them. Even from McKenzie and Baco on down, star players don't know where their shots should be coming from right now. You're what, almost 2 months into the season now, and you still don't know that simple fact of where you can go to get a bucket through anybody. One of the main starters through a bench guy. The bench guys especially should know exactly where their shots are coming from. And you see it with Kaden Carlisle. He has no clue. He's rushing one shot. He's hesitant on the next. He just does not know where his shots should come from. And he's too talented to be playing like he is right now. I think if IU improves, Carlisle is going to be one of the guys that needs to take another step forward. But he's got to figure out where and when he can produce for IU right now.
Indiana's managing to win these ball games, but again, it's a double-digit win, so you don't want to dump on it.
Right.
And yet, I mean, this was a game that I just felt Rutgers was just prime to just take a 25-point loss on this thing because they had one guy that was making buckets.
Yeah.
And the Hoosiers couldn't do it. And it's not as if they got all crazy. They had 8 turnovers on the night. They dominated on the offensive glass, and yet they allowed Rutgers to hang around. A Rutgers team that was jacking up shots with 18 seconds left on the clock and all that. And I'm just concerned that when Indiana plays a more competent team, that there's going to be some struggles.
Yeah, and this is more, focus on this game only, but IU likes to help, and they weren't helping that much on Ace Bailey when they have one guy who can score. Why are you not sending doubles more? Why are you not over helping on him when he does not want to pass the ball? If you send 2 or 3 guys to him, you're not really risking the chance he passes out and give an open 3. The one time you should be over helping and doubling, IU doesn't do it. So that was a little bit baffling. There were some times where, you would shade Trey Galloway over and they brought a double once or twice, but it was so rare when a guy goes for 39 points and nobody else is scoring consistently. How do you not make that minor change when it's something you really want to do anyway? I mean, this team is built on closing off gaps and taking away drives and making it tough on people. And IU simply does not do it tonight when a guy is just scoring at will.
Well, and you had one sequence too in the first half where Rutgers players drive into the bucket. Rice is following him to try to get a sneak steal.
Yeah.
He ends up leaving his own guy. Then Balo comes over, over pursues a block, misses, and Rutgers is able to get a rebound, score and a putback, and get fouled.
Yeah.
Now here are 2 guys that are starters for you who are they're trying to do everybody else's job.
Yeah.
And to me, those kind of mistakes, again, you get away with them against the likes of Chattanooga and Winthrop and Minnesota and Rutgers, but you're going to have a problem with that against other teams.
Yeah, and Mike Woodson's brought this up. He calls it connectivity, everybody playing in sync and knowing where they need to be, where they need to help. And you just don't see it on the defensive end, especially like the communication's always been poor all season. They are not communicating on ball screens, on switches, even on cuts. They are not communicating. They're not aware. Everything is reactive instead of anticipating moves. And in the Big Ten, that's just not going to work. You're not getting stops reacting to players like Ace Bailey. He is too good to react. You have to beat him to spots, beat him to the ball, and IU just would not do it tonight. And I think that's going to be a major problem going forward.
And he was playing out of his mind too. He was just making some wild shots. What do you make of the fact that Indiana won at 20 from 3 against Winthrop? Tonight, they're 12 of 27. 2 things on that. 27 threes is a lot of threes. Making 12 of them certainly is a positive. And I think that's a season high for Indiana this year. But is this a matter of this is the team that you could be? Of making these, 12 threes. You're not going to do that every game, obviously, but to where they have that opportunity, the 1 of 20, you're not going to have that every night either. But again, you're talking about a team that made threes tonight, shoots 64% from the free throw line, but we've seen a lot of the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And a bunch of those threes, just one of them came on Leal's shot. You had other ones that uh, were in rhythm. Others were just kind of jacked up, and so that to me is a concern.
Yeah, I did like the fact that they did rebound and make shots tonight. They weren't scared of the moment. Rutgers was giving them threes. They were confident and they knocked them down. So I thought that was a major positive. I don't think you can count on this team to make 8 or more threes a game. It's just not a good enough shooting team. Even if Luke Goody's in rhythm,
Right.
Mackenzie Mbako's going. On those nights, if they're both together, maybe 8 to 10 threes made. But most nights it's going to be 6 to 8. And you're going to have to pick your spots. Hopefully, you get Miles Rice going a little bit more because teams are leaving him open away from the ball right now. If he can step in and knock down a shot, that'd be great. Or at least he needs to cut and get the ball moving that way because right now he's catching wide open. And like we talked about, he thinks he needs to shoot it because he's wide open. He's not a great spot up shooter. He's better off the dribble, better with a little bit of rhythm bounce. And that's not happening for him. So if he could cut, get the ball moving that way he doesn't have to pass up a wide open three, do those small things. And I think IU could shoot, 20 or 24 threes a game and look pretty good doing it. But I mean, you're just not going to have great shooting nights when you're counting on basically 2 guys to knock down shots.
Your view of what happened with Renew, obviously, Goody fell into his leg. It's one of those things you hope that it's not that bad. The fact that he was out here smiling and with ice on his knee during the second half is a positive.
Yeah.
But still, you have somewhat of a quick turnaround. You're playing again in 3 days.
Yeah, and it involves a flight, which you never know how injury is going to react on a flight. But hopefully he's okay. I think they're getting an MRI tomorrow on it. Hopefully everything checks out. I thought it was a good sign. After he was on the ground, he got up and walked away.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to come back in at some point. I saw Dr. Rink come over to Mike Woods in the first half, mention something. Obviously, it was saying Renew's not going to be able to go. But hopefully it was just a minor thing, some type of bruising or something, and Renew will be back soon.
So you have an IU team that beats Rutgers. Now they have to go and play Penn State at the Palestra in Philadelphia. I believe where they're playing. What does this team need to do to find the kind of success away from Assembly Hall that it hasn't at this point?
And it's a completely different team from Rutgers. Rutgers is not a team that forces turnovers. We saw that with only 8 for the game and 1 in the first half. Penn State is the exact opposite.
Rutgers barely stressed them tonight.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing this year. Obviously, not what Steve Peichel really wants to do, but with the talented freshmen, he thinks they have to kind of sit back and just kind of take their medicine, if you will. But Penn State will get after him. Ace Baldwin will pressure the ball. He will be getting after Miles Rice. So it'll be a totally different game going into a big time environment. This is another situation kind of like down in the Bahamas where IU gets a major test. They did not respond well down there. Are they a different team? Will they have Malik Renew? I guess time will tell. I think they've made a couple nice steps along the way, but not huge ones.
What is your feeling, your gut feeling about this team at this point in the season?
I think it's pretty much what everybody has seen so far. We've got 3 years of other basically Big Ten seasons from Mike Woodson and how much he changed. There were tweaks along the way in each season, but they were pretty minor. I think a minor change really helps this team, but will they do it?
Right.
Just some ball screens, some more spacing, things like that, I think would pay major dividends when you're making very, very small changes. But overall, I think we've seen what they are. You're not going to be stepping up the defensive intensity at this point in the season. It's too far in. Everybody's well conditioned at this point. They know what they should be doing, and IU has not done it so far. So I don't think you can expect a major change on that end. I just don't see big changes coming that really give you a lot of enthusiasm and optimism for this team taking another step or two, being in the NCAA tournament for sure, and working for a good seed. I just don't see that happening at this point.
Yeah, this one's going to be a struggle. They get the win tonight, but it's not exactly a win that everybody high fives about. It's good. You won the game. You're supposed to win the game
Yeah.
against a team like Rutgers when you have the talent and the resources and everything that goes behind this program against a Rutgers team missing their best player.
Right.
But now it's going to get harder,
Oh yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah. Penn State's gonna be a tough game going into Palestra. That is no easy game. USC you should beat here at home, but from there on, every game is going to be a dogfight, and you better be playing your best basketball of the season at that point if you're not going to get beat in every single one of those games, because that's a possibility too.
Yeah. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Ken.
812-393-2600 is the number. But, you hear some of the background noise is them just cleaning Assembly Hall, and we're happy that they're able to do that. You have Eric on the chat says Carlisle looks lost. He seems like he's not playing loose, and I would agree with that. He seems very hesitant along the way. That he's not quite sure. It was notable to me that Anthony Leal also looked very hesitant in this one as he went along. That to me was interesting. There were a couple of times when he had opportunities to knock down some shots, and he didn't take them. And that's that's a choice, and that's perfectly fine. But it is he seemed really hesitant, and you hope that he's going to be able to kind of pull through a little bit. But I will say this much: Anthony is a coach on the floor, and he did a nice job against Ace Bailey, the only Hoosier who did a nice job against Ace Bailey. Bailey, by the way, looked like he was told, just go get us points. Anyway, hook or by crook, go do it. 39 points on 16 of 29 shooting on the night. 4 of 8 from three-point range. He missed some free throws, though, some critical free throws along the way. He's obviously, he was far and away Rutgers' leading scorer. Second leading scorer was Jamichael Davis, 9 points. But the fact that that he missed some shots, some free throws, pair of technicals, he missed. He missed a pair of a couple of other free throws, just 3 of 8 from the free throw line. Don't want to dump it all on him. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is those were some critical misses because it could have cut into the lead and given Rutgers a little bit of momentum, and then it didn't happen. Again, Rutgers played this entire game like they were down 10 with 3 to play, and I thought that was really interesting. It wasn't like an up-tempo thing. It was straight up frantic play with bad shots with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. Just was not good at all. Let's see. Eric also on the chat says, off topic, but sometimes I hear the same horn that happens at the half and the end of the game during the post game. What you may be hearing in the background is they clean with leaf blowers here to get rid of the popcorn and things like that. So that may be what you're picking up a little bit in the background. So that's what that is. They've been doing that for years, and so that's just kind of one of the things that happens after all the fans are out here. They come rolling through and they sweep up and get this place clean as a whistle before they leave. I give them a lot of credit for all the hard work they do. Wanted to mention something else that, again, the number 812-393-2600, give me a call. But this is, both teams, I said, played very frantic. That it is a little bit of an issue for me because of the fact that the level of basketball being played on both ends of the floor was just felt so much like a pickup game, something like that. That is really, really kind of frustrating for me. That I just I don't like the style of basketball. I know I'm getting old, and I know that, but it just to me it just feels a lot like a pickup game a lot of times, and that is weird to me that they have. It's not a style that runs a lot of sets. It's a lot of freelance and one-on-one. And to me, that's something that I would like to to see cleaned up, or I'm just old and crotchety, and we're getting there, which is very, very possible after watching this basketball program for as long as I have. Uh, Trevor mentioned the offensive rebounds. Indiana had 18 offensive rebounds versus just 7 for Rutgers. Did a nice job of spreading the floor, making Rutgers' zone move, and getting some shots along the way. That was a positive. Indiana, 41 points in the first half, 43 in the second half. So the fact that they were able to do that, I think, is really, really critical. That said, I do think that that Indiana's defense just needs to be a lot more active, a lot more locked in. They don't communicate well. Guys get left, and it leads to open looks. You get away with that again against Rutgers. You get away with it, but you're not going to get away with it against some of the better teams. And Indiana needs to start putting together some kind of decent wins because right now they don't have that at all, and that is an issue because this is not an NCAA tournament team at this point. They have to pick up some wins. Yeah, they've won ball games, and that's fantastic that they've won games. That's what they're supposed to do. I say again in football all the time, it's not how, it's how many. 11-3 is a positive, but you're going to have some real challenges coming up. This Penn State game on Sunday is going to be no joke. USC is going to be tough, but then you go on the road to play Iowa. Then you have to deal with Illinois here. Go to Ohio State, play Northwestern in Evanston. You got Maryland, Purdue. Then it becomes that gauntlet. And I think that against a lot of these other teams in the Big Ten, Indiana is going to really struggle. They have been very fortunate that here at Assembly Hall, they have played a couple of the weaker teams in the Big Ten. But when they went to Nebraska, that one was ugly, and it was ugly early. And that to me is a concern, especially when you're talking about getting 9-point wins over Chattanooga and Winthrop. I feel that Rutgers was a worse team than Winthrop this year, and yet it's still only a 10-point win. So a lot of frustration with that. That to me is what it is. And once if this team starts tacking some of these losses, I'll tell you right now, the fans here at Assembly Hall. It might get rough. It might get rough. But for tonight, it is an 84-74 victory and a huge positive for this team that they won. We'll see what Malik Renew's status is for Sunday. And we'll see where we go from here because I agree with Trevor. What we see is what we're getting. You're not going to see this team is not appreciably improved since the start of the season. And there was, to me, that's going to be the issue here because you're not seeing this team get better as time goes on. Eric in the chat says, "Were we within about 5 points in Nebraska with just a few minutes to go in the game?" I'll take a look at that. That's quite possible, I suppose. It feels like 6 years ago that they played Nebraska, but. Let's see here. It was oh, that's terrible. Boy, this play-by-play on here was trash. Don't care for that. All right, here, this is better. With about 6:51 to play, Luke Goody hit a 3 to pull within 1 of Nebraska. That is correct. So I guess that one, but it did. Nebraska went up by 10 early on. They opened the game on a 13-3 run. So Indiana fell behind by double digits and ended up coming back and taking the lead. But then they did come back and then stretch that lead at the end. So there is that. So I apologize for that. These games can blur on me a little bit, but it was also a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go against Winthrop, and IU ended up stretching that out to a 9-point win. So that is struggle. Eric's also asking about how many fans are dressed in black. That's something that I've heard of with, and I didn't really take a look at it. To be honest with you, it wasn't big enough to notice, and I realized just now when you said that I'm wearing a black sweater, and that was not as part of that. I could tell you that. I just never wear any red or whatever the opponent's color is, and black is always rock solid for me to fall with on that. But Indiana doesn't fall tonight on a Thursday night as we head on into Friday morning. It's now 12:02 here in the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Go ahead and wrap this up because 84-74 is a positive, but the Hoosiers just this brand of basketball. I'm really, really concerned really concerned about what they're going to do going forward. But they got the win tonight, 11-3 overall, 2-1 in Big Ten play. We'll see how Renew is and how everything plays out as we go into next week and some tougher opponents coming up. That's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Trevor, Matt, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.